This lesson is multiply and divide complex number. Note, when I see I square, I will turn it into -1. One more time. When I see I square, it is equal -1. Okay, so replace I square with -1. Here I have here's my first example. So multiply using distributive property. -7 times -8 gives me positive 56. -7 times 6i gives me -42i. Next, -4i times this -8, which gives me positive 32i. And -4 times 4i times positive 6i gives me -24i. So I just use distributive property. Next, combine like terms and change the I square into -1. So 56, there's nothing to do, bring it down. Here is the combined like term. They are like term here. So -42 plus positive 30 plus 32 gives me -10i. And this I square, again, if I see I square, I turn it into -1. Okay, one more time. When I see I square, I turn it into -1. And then this negative and this negative become positive 24. Combine like terms again. 56 plus 24 gives me 80. And this -10i, just leave it alone. So this is our complex number. 80 minus 10i is the complex number. Okay, so when I see I square, I replace it by -1. Okay, so be very careful of that. Next example, similar. Okay, similar. So but this time it is square, so 6 plus 5i squared. So what you're going to do is write it twice. This number right here, 2, means I'm going to multiply twice. So write it out twice. Write out 6 plus 5i twice. Okay, and then after that, use distributive property. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 5i, 30i. 5i times this 6 is this 30i, and then 5 times 5i times 5i gives me positive 25i squared. Combine like terms, bring this 36 down. 30 plus 30 gives me the 60i. Here's the I square. Make sure to turn it into negative. So I square is -1, and then positive and negative because it gives me -25. Combine like terms again. 36 subtract 25 gives me this 11. Bring down the 60i. And this is the complex answer for this problem. So 11 plus 60i is the answer to this square. Okay, to this 6 plus 5i squared. Okay, again, just multiply, combine like terms. If I see I squared, I turn it into -1. Okay, so that is for multiply complex number. Now we will divide complex number. So with dividing complex number, I do not want I in the denominator. One more time. When I divide complex number, I don't want I in the denominator. So copy the whole thing to here. So I copy the entire problem here and then multiply the I, just the denominator I, just the I in the denominator. I multiply it to the top and the bottom. Also, I have to switch the sign, and that is the only way to get rid of the I, is you have to switch the sign. So this is plus, so over here has to be a minus. If this was minus, then over here should be plus. So one more time, I rewrote the entire problem here. Multiply the denominator that has the I, just the I only. Okay, so multiply the I in the denominator, which I have here top and bottom. Now switch the sign. If this was plus, then this has to be minus. If this was minus, then this over here should be plus. So make sure you switch the sign. After that, just multiply across. So -I times 3, positive 3i. negative I times negative 6I gives me this positive 6I squared. And in the bottom, 4I times negative I gives me this negative 4I squared. Okay? After that, get rid of all the I squared. So turn the I squared into negative. Okay? So 3I, I put it in the back. This I squared is going to be a negative 1. So negative 1 times 6 will give me this negative 6. Okay, so one more time. This 3I, I wrote it here. And as this I squared becomes negative 1. Negative 1 times 6 will give me this negative 6. Okay, the I squared right here also becomes negative 1. Negative 1 and negative 4 become positive 4. Okay, and as always, denominator, no I in the denominator, and that's when you're done. One more time, no I in the denominator, and that's when you know you are done. Okay, so this example, and here's the answer to it. Okay, so this is the answer to this problem. Okay, so one more time, rewrite the entire problem, multiply the denominator, just the I only, and then change the sign. If this is positive, negative. If this was negative, then over here should be positive. Okay, so change the sign. Next example, similar situation, but this time you're going to do the entire denominator, not just the letter I, but the entire denominator. So I rewrote this to here. One more time, I rewrote the problem here, then multiply the entire denominator, which I have here and here. Now switch the sign, just the I, you will switch the sign on the I. If this is minus, over here should be plus. If this was plus, over here should be minus. Okay, so one more time, I rewrote the problem here, multiply the entire denominator, which I have here for the top and also for the bottom. Now switch the sign where the I is. So this is a negative, so over here should be plus. And I'll make sure the top also be plus 2. They should be the same, top and bottom the same. One more time, change the sign where the I is. So here's the I, this is negative, so over here should be plus. If this was plus, then over here should be negative. Okay, so make sure you change the sign. Now after that, just multiply. 5i times negative 6 is this negative 30i. 5i times another I gives me positive 5i squared. Okay, so that's for the top. Now do the bottom. Negative 6 times negative 6 gives me this positive 36. Negative 6 times I is negative 6i. This negative I times this negative 6 become positive 6i. Negative I times this positive I gives me negative I squared. Okay, so this is for the bottom. Now let's fix the top and the bottom as well too. So clean this up. So this negative 30i, I'm going to put it in the back. There's the I squared. So I squared is negative 1. Negative 1 times 5, negative 5. Okay, here's the 36. This negative 6i, this positive 6i cancel out. Okay, they're the same and opposite, so they get to cancel out. Here's the I squared. I squared is negative 1. Okay, one more time. I squared is negative 1, but I also have another negative, which is here. So negative 1 and another negative become positive 1. So 1 plus 36 gives me 37. Okay, so be very careful. One more time. This I squared is negative 1, but I also have another negative. So negative and negative become positive 1. 1 plus 36 gives me 37. Okay, so be very careful on the multiply and the dividing complex number. Again, the bottom, there should be no I in the bottom. That's when you know you're done. Okay.